Hey everybody, welcome to Card Player Lifestyle. I'm Card Player Lifestyle founder Robbie Struzinski. We're here with Raymond Norton, the founder of CNC Poker Training. And this is just an interview to get to know the man behind the company a little bit better. And hopefully through that, folks who are interested in the company, in upping their game, will know if it's the right fit for them and, beyond just what you see online, if this is sort of the right fit for you to improve your game. Raymond, how you doing today?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Good, I'm
How
fine,
was your
thank you.
weekend?
Good. And you're coming to us from the UK,
Yeah, I'm in Newcastle, in North
Newcastle.
London.
Cool. Okay, very good. So obviously CEO of the company, but what's your attachment to poker? How did that first start in the first place? I know you started out more as a player before sort of moving uh, to the side of like the industry of founding a company and training other people to get better. How did you first get into the game, and what is your professional poker player background?
Right, yeah. So actually, I worked full time as an accountant
Mhm.
initially after leaving school. I qualified as an accountant. Kind of seemed like that was just the path that I was going to go down. Um, but I hated the job
Mm.
itself, which wasn't obviously ideal. Basically, I was pretty good at maths at school, so that was like a natural progression for me to just to fall into accountancy. And then yeah, I was watching a YouTube video from the Lippo Fund. Actually, shout out to him. I've now actually spoke to him to thank him, but yeah, he made a video about grinding sit and goes, and he mentioned you could make like $400 or $500 a day playing these if you were good at maths, and then like alarm bells just started going off in my head. I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Uh-huh.
So how do I find out more? And then I started. There's a pretty popular forum in the UK called Blonde Poker Forum,
Sure.
and got involved there. Like started making some friends there, and then I started quickly getting into the sit and go grind and was playing 45 mans to start with, and
Mhm.
then moved into 180 mans. Um, they kind of died off after a few years, and so I moved into MTTs. This is probably like 2015 time, which was around when bitB staking started.
Mhm.
So I joined bitB when they first began
Mhm.
because I knew Pads was on this UK forum as well.
Mhm.
So I like, had known him for a while, and yeah, so I joined bitB, and then I played for them for a few years, and it was okay. Like it's probably because back then like mid stakes would be like 40, 50 ABI, whereas
Mhm.
now probably people class mid stakes as like 150, 200 ABI, like because obviously it's grown so much, like the
Sure.
stakes have got like escalated so much. So yeah, I was okay, like okay, right, solid, nothing spectacular. Like probably didn't work as hard as I should have. Probably wasn't as committed as you need to be to reach the very
Mhm.
top. But yeah, I did all right. But
Mhm.
then the opportunity came to do a bit of work for bitB, and I was enjoying that more than I was playing, basically.
Uh-huh.
And then it ended up just that I was like working for them full time, like managing the company basically by the end. And yeah, got the chance to work alongside Pads, Tommy, and Sam. And bitB finished in 2020 it was. And then that formed CNC from there basically.
Sure. Okay. So before I ask a little bit more about, your inclination towards coaching and player development, I also want to ask, why did you believe, again, as a player, that staking was the right way to go for you? Because that's a decision that some players don't even necessarily think about, okay? Or some players consider it, but not aren't really sure whether to do it or not. Why did you feel that for your own personal development as a player that staking was the right way to go?
So for me, in my own circumstance, like, things hadn't been going that well for me before I moved over to MCTs. I had a bit. basically when I first started out in second goals, it went great. Like it couldn't really run any better. This was back in like 2010. The games were great. You could basically just win every month as long as you put in enough volume.
Uh,
Like, and I'm not even talking like crazy volume either. Like, but yeah, the games were amazing. So yeah, I never really had a losing month for quite a while, or at
mhm.
least that's my memory of it. Maybe I had like one losing month or whatever, but you know what I mean. It was pretty easy money, but let's put it that way. And
Uh-huh.
then yeah, like the game it tightened up a little bit. I guess obviously when you because other people here there's easy money around. Obviously that's generally how it goes. Like
Yeah, the
more and
sharks
more
begin to
people
circle.
games, and
Yeah.
that kind of ruins it. Obviously when like too many people letting the secret out. So yeah. So before bitB started, I had like a really rough year, like in terms of results.
Hmm.
Yeah, it wasn't going good. I was basically broke, well, worse than broke. I was in a decent amount of debt.
Wow.
Someone was basically bankrolling us to play,
Hmm.
and that like it was a struggle for him as well as it was for me. But like he didn't want to just cut me off because like we were friends as well as like support that he was giving me. But yeah, we
Hmm.
both kind of agreed this wasn't going well. Kind of needed a change.
Hmm.
And yeah, for me, it was kind of like it was forced by my circumstances and also like just by bankroll
Right.
constraints because I just wasn't rolled
Hmm.
to be taken on the very same as MTTs.
Hmm.
Yeah, so my person was very much dictated by circumstances. But yeah, it's a tough one when because obviously one of the main things I would do in bitB, especially in the earlier period, was applications.
Hmm.
And there would be times sometimes where there was a guy who would apply and he was a good guy, he was a good fit, but maybe we just felt that stake and wasn't right for them at that
Hmm.
point. Sort of thing. So we would almost like, even though we wanted to take the guy, we would like advise he probably doesn't join right now, maybe
Hmm.
stay on his own for a little bit and come later. And I think especially in bitB when we got to like the latter stages of bitB, it became more and more clear to us that less people should be staked
Uh-huh.
than they are in the team sort of thing. And
Right.
that's not a knock on like staking at all. Like staking's great for a lot of people. I'm not suggesting that's not. It's very much an individual circumstance.
Hmm.
But in our case with bitB and especially guys that were playing a bit lower, it just became quite apparent how tough it was for them
Yeah.
to like thrive and grow. And that
Hmm.
kind of when you're like giving up like 50% of your profit and you're playing say like 30, 40, 50 ABI, it's just really tough for you to then get to the higher stages unless you basically have a big score. Like
Right.
it's
Right.
it's not impossible, but it's certainly tough. So for people who if we felt they were rolled to play on their own at those stakes, they'd probably be better off doing that, even though they'd lose like the environment and everything else. Like,
Right.
but as I say, it's like that's not a knock on staking. Well, staking's great for a lot of people, and it's very. I
Sure.
always feel it's very much an individual thing. So like if someone just out of the blue messages me today saying like is staking good for me, like we're gonna need to have like a hour, 2 hour conversation. Like
Sure.
I can't answer that question in like 5 minutes, obviously, because
Sure.
there's just so many intricacies. Like, what your personal circumstances, what's your role, like, what's the case if you don't win for the next 12 months, where you're gonna be? Like,
Hmm.
there's a lot to it, obviously.
Sure. Like again, like the focus of this interview will obviously be CNC poker and the
Yeah,
coaching
yeah,
and the
yeah,
training, all
sure.
that stuff. But I just feel it's important for folks who are like, okay, who's behind this? Yeah, you talk poker, you've walked the walk, you know what it's like, and it's all the players who do come can see, okay, well, this is someone who whose experience resonates with me. So I just sort of felt good to get that background in there. So at some point you see like coach the playing wasn't going as well as you'd hope. Opportunities arose. When did you sort of like the light bulb kind of went off of like, hey, this idea of like helping other players get better and develop their game, that's something that excited you and that interested you. When did that sort of happen?
Yeah, so I guess like obviously the very common question that I get asked a lot is like, do you miss playing? Like, that's a
Mm,
natural question, obviously. and it's a very easy answer for me. And there's a no, I don't miss it at all.
Huh.
The reason why I don't miss it is just I love the other side of it much more than I
Huh.
ever did playing. Like it was always, I mean, I wouldn't say, like, as I said, I used to do the accountancy job and I generally detested it and was watching the clock all day, basically living for the weekend sort of thing. Obviously, I was young then, so it's kind of different. I mean, but you know what I mean? Like, and there's
Yeah.
a lot of people in that situation, which is far from ideal. But yeah, like it still with playing, it still felt like work, if you know what I mean. Like I kind of
Right.
had to push myself to grind. Like again, I was young and like reckless and whatever, but like I would generally, if I went on a heater and I was doing well, that's an opportunity for me not to need to play for a few days. Do you know what I mean? Because I was doing all right. Like
Right.
whereas with bitB, I finally found that thing where I had like such a huge drive that it never really felt like work, even though we could do like sometimes it'd be like 60, 70, 80 hour weeks. If there was like a lot to do, like say maybe we were doing a review of the team or whatever. So it would be super intense, but it just never really felt like work. It was always just like, this is what I want to be doing, sort of thing. There's nothing else I'd rather be doing. And do you know what I mean? So that was kind of the epiphany for me to realize, oh wow, this is a feeling that you can have where work doesn't have to be work, sort of thing.
Right.
If you really love to do what you're doing, like
Cool.
wake up every day and this is what I want to do. And so yeah, like when bitB finished, for me the question was is how am I going to keep that feeling and
Hmm.
keep myself in that environment where I want to be. And how do I achieve that? Because it wasn't going to be steak, and I didn't want to do any steak. And so it was for me, like, what do I love most about bitB that I can basically replicate
Hmm.
myself? And I love the communication side of it. I enjoy talking to players, like whether that be like they have a question for me or they want me to do something or whatever that may be.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, that and then obviously I had a good network of people who I could get to coach through bitB and the links there. So the coaching aspect of it and the community aspect of it was the two big things that I felt I could keep keep going basically.
Hmm.
Because what happened was when bitB ended, and then basically everyone from bitB came to CNC. Like they
Hmm.
all came across basically. So obviously, CNC is not bitB. Like we're two obviously very separate things,
Sure.
but yeah, there was that crossover sort of thing.
Sure. So at some point,
So
did it
so
occur
yeah,
like,
that was,
yeah, I was on those, like, is that when did you sort of say, okay, you personally get that feeling, but like in order to maximize the capabilities here, it makes sense to sort of build it out as a poker training company rather than just you yourself. How did you know how to do that and sort of go on that journey? Was it just sort of like, take it as it comes and figure it out? Or did you have experience perhaps from, your work as an accountant? Did that help you? Like, how did you know how to build out the company in the first place from just this idea of like, okay, well, this is what I like to do, that let's focus on that part.
it was such like it was such a quick process in the
Mm,
sense like I'll just give you the timeline. Like I found out that bitB was going to stop in the August in CNC
2020?
August 2020.
Oh,
That's and CNC was formed and launched by the October.
wow. That's very quick. Okay.
So it was really quick. Yeah, like
Okay.
CNC wasn't even an idea in my head in the August,
Huh.
and by August it was done in November, and like I guess because in bitB like I had done like various different things, like just maybe Paz messaged me one day saying, "Oh, we need this graphic designer sorted. We need to get this done." And so I had done like a few different things. So I'd had a
Hmm.
chance to get like various different experiences
Right.
through like what had been needed to be done at different times in BitBase. So that helped me a lot to then I need this, I'll go and do it there. Like be it on five, I like get somebody to do something like there's a lot of things I can't do obviously. So
Right.
but yeah, it was a pretty quick transition from it not
Excellent.
even being an idea to
Excellent.
full.
So you guys have been around for approximately 4 years now. It's October,
Yeah,
so
almost like anniversary time. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously, you're far more experienced now than when you first started and when that idea first began. One of the things that sort of sets CNC Poker, I think the main thing that sets it apart versus other training programs, it's obviously becoming an increasingly crowded space, is the focus on live group coaching. Why is that the direction you decided to sort of take that take the company in and have it as its main approach, the thing that sets it apart, as opposed to just doing necessarily what other companies do, but in the same way? You guys take a non-traditional approach to it. What sort of created that idea to do that in the first place?
Yeah, I mean, because I think everybody likes to think they have something unique, right?
Sure.
Naturally, and often they will. But so yeah, my goal was to try and create something that was genuinely unique and different.
Mm,
And something that had always kind of stuck in my head was when I would talk to bitB guys, like they would, I would often hear them comment that like they had a direct debit set up for X platform,
mm,
and they weren't using the platform, but the money would just get took out every month, and they
uh-huh,
like just let it ride. They just ignored it, sort of thing. I kind of almost forgot about it. And I
mhm,
was like, that's kind of nuts, like to me, because it's not like an irrelevant amount of money or anything. So like, I don't know if you're paying like $50 a month or $100 a month, like that's a lot of money to a lot of people. And I was kind of just like, okay, maybe. And like they were kind of like, oh, I should just cancel direct debit, whatever. Whatever. I'll deal with it another day,
mhm,
as you know how it is. So yeah, I thought like maybe we can create CNC, and if we really believe in like the product and the brand and like what we're trying to do, we don't need to have these like basically people are paying for something they aren't using. I didn't really want to have that kind of environment
mhm.
because I say I like to talk to the guys a lot. I like to communicate with them and be like try to be genuine and come across like so yeah, I was like, you only need to pay for what you actually want. So if you're part of the CNC and you don't like the product or you don't use the product, it doesn't cost you anything. Like
Mhm.
obviously you pay for the membership when you join, but then after that, yeah, if you want to sign up, like you're not going to get messages from me saying, "Oh, you can't be in the CNC anymore because you don't spend enough money or whatever like that." That's not just it's not how my man works. It's not how it works. So it doesn't need to be like that. Like if you want to use the product, great. Obviously, that's what I want. But like, if it's not for you, then you can still be part of the community. You can still have the membership, like, and use it as you see fit.
Right.
And then for some people, that might be they want one-to-one coaching. They only want to work on a direct one-to-one relationship. They might not want the live sessions.
Mhm.
But predominantly, our main product is the live sessions that what people are most interested in. I think like a lot of people enjoy the fact that they can actually engage with the coach during the session and ask questions like as it's running. And then similarly, others will sign up but not attend it and then
Mhm.
just watch it in their own time
Right. Okay.
because you can watch it whenever you want. You sign up for a session, you got lifetime access, and you just
Mhm.
watch it when you want. So.
Sure.
And like that's actually it's funny when you mentioned that because it has CNC has changed a lot since we started 4 years ago to
Mhm.
now.
Mhm.
Obviously, naturally it would. But yeah, one of the things when we first started it was I wasn't gonna have it like where you have I had it basically my original idea was you'd have to attend the session live if you signed up basically.
Right.
I very quickly got a bunch of feedback from members saying that's not going to work for me.
Yeah.
And I realized that the product basically would fail if I didn't change it.
Okay.
So I very quickly changed it to you get lifetime access because yeah, a lot of people just like they want to sign up for the session, they like the topic, but they're not available at like 3 p.m. CET on a Tuesday to come
Yeah.
and live, and that's
Exactly.
pretty obvious, really. But like you obviously you can make a lot of mistakes, and as long as you're quick to pivot and learn,
Sure. Of
that's the
course.
thing. And yeah, I'm always pushing for feedback. Like
Sure.
obviously, that's crucial for us to. toes know what people want, basically.
Mhm. Well, I mean, just like when you sit in school or in university and you hear the lecturing, when it comes to the students, people who are attending the class, the live group session, as it were, poker players have lots of different levels. There's no such thing as two poker players who are at exactly the same skill level, exactly the same strengths, exactly the same weaknesses. So again, think back to university, sometimes, oh, okay, they're lecturing, you tune out a little bit or you space out. So yeah, of course, it's up to the student to try and get the most out of it from the lecturer, from the teacher's standpoint, from the coach's standpoint. How does a coach handle a classroom full of students, of attendees to the lecture, where there are different skill levels, different strengths, different interests? Because, like you said, it's that live engagement is a very big thing while the material is being given over. How do they sort of maneuver? I mean, not a minefield, but just sort of like uh, an audience which is not exactly 100% homogenous in terms of their knowledge, in terms of their precise interests, what they want to focus on for a particular session.
Yeah, it's a good question. So I think like majority of our audience are mainly like mid to high stakes guys.
Okay.
Like so they're at a certain level, like a strong level. But
Hmm.
it's obviously the sessions are open to everyone. We don't limit anyone who can join if they wish to join. And I think like the coach has to kind of judge that on the fly sometimes. Because obviously like whilst everyone can interact in the session, like if we have a guy who's like at a more basic level, the coach might say like I'll reply to you afterwards.
Uh-huh.
So it's
Okay.
to not like slow the pace down
Mm.
for the rest for everyone else who's attending. And then yeah, they'll like do that on like a more one-to-one basis after the session basically. But it's a rare instance to be honest.
Okay. Okay. That's fair.
But yeah, it's a good
Cool.
it's I know what you mean, yeah.
Okay. And mentioning the coaches, obviously, when the principal puts together their roster, of who's going to be coaching, you guys have some pretty well-known pros. You have, just as an example, Stoyana Breshkov, Ben Heath. When you sort of think and put together, okay, who is it that you want representing CNC Poker, who's going to be a good coach? What goes through your mind? How do you pick people who are going to be right for the students who sign up for the training program?
Yeah, so I mean with a lot of CNC it's quite interesting how it works in the sense that I'm not really the one who judges it
Oh,
to
okay.
some degree because like let's say with a session for example like we have a session and then everyone attends and then I ask the guys to give feedback at the end of the session for every session. So like in my mind it almost like it doesn't really matter that much what I think. It matters what they think. So like
Right.
if I think the session was good, but like five people give us feedback all saying it wasn't good, then I'm very likely wrong and they can be right. So
Okay.
that's kind of how I would see it. I mean, it's rare that ever happens, but we have had instances when like a couple of sessions that haven't really worked out, especially in the beginning. Um, so yeah, it's almost like that's kind of what I say with to the coaches too. Like the members decide whether who's going to be the most successful coach or not. Because they will choose like whether to sign up for the session or not.
Hmm.
And that's kind of the thing again with like how the model works. So the coach like CNC is basically a commission-based business. Like we take commission on the sessions. So the best coaches will have the highest income because they'll be the most popular, obviously.
Got it.
And in terms of like how I recruit new coaches, a
Hmm.
lot of it comes through the coaches themselves. Like I'll get their input and like what they think, because obviously they know better than me, like who are the best guys
Hmm.
at the
Hmm.
top now, because they're the ones who battle against them every day. Like, I'm not playing, so like and I'm aware of who's meant to be good and whatever, but like they are the ones they can give me good, useful feedback on that. And same with the members as well. Like I'll ask the members, like, who would you like to see
Hmm.
doing sessions in CNC?
Okay.
So yeah, quite a lot of it comes from like outside influence rather than myself and like
Interesting.
what.
So it's never a situation where you say, let's say a coach says, "Hey, I'd like to work with you guys." It's never like, "Oh no, we're full." It's not like that. It's more of like, "Okay, what
No,
unique do
no,
you
no,
have to offer our students that we
no.
don't yet have?" I mean, that's basically
Yes,
the situation.
yeah. And then usually what I will do is because I think this is good for the coach as well as for CNC, but we generally with any new coaches now, we'll always do like a trial session per
Okay.
se, where we'll have like they'll do the topic that they're gonna do is the first session anyway. So from their point of view, it's not like wasted prep time because they can
Hmm.
use the content as the session. But like we'll get like 4 to 5 active guys to come to that session, and then they will all attend live, so they need to be available for that point because that's like the purpose of the trial, obviously. And then they'll give good feedback, like detailed feedback on anything they could have changed or was done different. And then that gives the coach a chance as well to like feel a little bit more prepared once they do their actual first session, like a proper session. Because
Hmm.
obviously, like even if you like, you can have a ton of experience and you could have coached like whatever 1,000 hours. It's still a little bit nervous when you're in like a new environment
Sure.
and you're presenting to people. I actually did a session in CNC myself. Like I don't play. I can't coach, but like I know a little bit about like game selection and
Hmm.
variance and that sort of stuff. So I
Sure.
did a session on that, and it's something like it's something I'm very confident on. Let's put it that way. Like I feel I have a solid expertise on it. I did a lot of prep. I was like very ready for the session, and then like 5 minutes before, for some reason, just the nerves massively kicked in, and I could barely speak for like the first 10 minutes. I like didn't know what was going on. Like I was just so flustered. And it's like it was good for me to experience that, to
Sure.
know a little bit what it might feel like for a new coach. Like probably some of them handle it better. Like I'm more of a nervous person anyway, so they probably handle it better than I maybe did, but maybe some don't. And it's just like it was good experience for me to see like what it's actually like. And but yeah, I was literally just like I didn't know what I was saying for the first 10 minutes. Like it was nuts. Like head was just but yeah,
Sure.
it was a good experience. So it was good
Um,
to get yourself out of your comfort zone.
Sure. And beyond obviously like the hardcore, the maths of it, the typical like, mechanics of poker, all that stuff. CNC also offers other types of coaching from John Prince, Alan Longo, Valeria Marin, specializing on areas like mindset, on nutrition. Why do you believe that those areas, like giving the more holistic approach, so to speak, to poker, why is that important that CNC Poker offers that to students as well?
But yeah, I think there's a lot more awareness now as years have gone on since when I first got into to playing like in 2010. Like there was barely any of that sort of stuff. It was all just about like playing and to be the best player you can be. But yeah, I think there's so much more to it, obviously, like, and not just in terms of like your profession, but just to help people with their life, obviously, like just
Hmm.
to if you feel good, you're probably going to perform, right? Like
Hmm.
that's quite important. I think even like there's a lot of things we aren't currently doing that we could do in CNC to make it even better in that regard, like
Hmm.
to help people with all areas of being a professional poker player, basically. Because
Hmm.
it's tough. Like I was saying to you, obviously, like the period I had when it didn't go very well, and
Right.
like I was kind of like I had the guy who was sticking me, but apart from my relationship with him, I didn't really have like a big support network or anyone I felt like I could speak to about it. And like when you're going through that kind of period when it's like you had a year of not winning and being broke and like struggling and whatever, like it's a lot to go through, obviously. Like I always use the analogy, like if you think about like with like professional football players, like obviously they don't have any financial concerns because they're paid very well. But like
Sure.
if you see a strike or whatever, they'll go like 5 or 6 games without scoring. You can see the confidence is gone a little bit,
Right.
like it affects their performance a bit. And so if you think about it as a poker player, when you're like you don't have that financial income guaranteed, and you have all those doubts of like, am I still good enough to win? And all that stuff that's going on in your head when you lose for like a prolonged period of time. Like it's challenging, so you need that. I think you need that around you. Like you can't. It's very tough to do it on your own. It's not impossible, but I think it's very tough. And yeah, I think people like John and Alan who do the performance side of things, like they can really help a lot. And then I think again with night nutrition, and that's like super important to be. And I think everyone's like trying to eke out like tiny little edges by like if you run like a certain sim or whatever, like but yeah, like you need to be taking care of your body and your mind, and I think those are going to give you like massive edges.
Sure. Well, like any company owner, like well, we got to do the hard sell. Anyone would want, okay, as many students as possible, flooding the gates, and we want everyone. But you know, we've spoken a little bit, but prior to this call as well, and something that really struck me is like you're very open about this is not for everybody. So who is?
Yeah, for
It's
sure.
very. I think it's very clear through everything you're saying who CNC Poker is for. Why don't you say who is CNC poker not for? Who do you feel that this is, you know, not the right choice for you and why? Like, what do they need to do first or
So yeah,
differently
like you say,
before?
like
Yeah.
probably yeah, like you say, it's probably not, I don't know. You don't see many people saying we don't want your business, and it's not that I don't want
Yeah.
anyone's business, obviously, but like there has been a couple of guys who've like signed up, and then it's been very clear to me very quickly that CNC is probably not the place for them to be. Like, I
Mm,
don't know, say a guy like comes and they're like they have a bankroll of like $500 and they're playing like very, very low stakes, then it doesn't make any sense for them to be paying like $200 for a membership, and then it's like you know you don't want to be paying like $50 to go to a live session if you have like a very small role. Like it doesn't make, or if you're just starting out playing, because there's just we're not really we will be in the future, I think, but right now we're not catering for like that level basically.
mhm,
So yeah, I think if you're just starting out or you're like early in your journey, then right now CNC is probably not the platform for you unless you have a sufficient enough bankroll that it might make sense. But then even still, like the content's very advanced, so yeah, it might not be the perfect fit for you. So yeah, then there's like you said, it's a very saturated market right now. There's a lot out there, so there's a lot of choice. And yeah,
mhm.
there's others who do some things better than we do for sure.
Okay, that's fair.
And like
Again, I like the candor. It's just it's a very good thing. Like people know what they're getting into when they speak. It's good stuff. Two questions before we sort of wrap it up. Just as far as someone who is interested and wants to give this a try, can you outline sort of the pricing structure for what it's like to enroll with the program?
yeah, so well we have two platforms. So we have CNC Global and then we have CNC Brazil. So Brazil obviously is a Portuguese speaking platform where we have a whole separate coaching team because obviously the most of the global coaches aren't speaking Portuguese.
Hmm.
And then yeah, so in CNC Global the membership is $200 and that is a 3-year membership. And as part of that you get I'm going to be I'm going to be a little bit vague here on what you get because I'm in the middle of amending it, so it's going to change within the next couple of weeks.
That's fair.
I was actually thinking, should we put this back a week until I've made the decision? But I didn't want to mess you around at late notice and do that. So I was like, yeah, I'm generally trying not to be vague on stuff, but I will be a little bit vague. So yeah, in global, let's just say you get a bunch of content
Okay.
and you get exclusive access to all the services we offer, and then the usual like you get the Discord community and all that sort of stuff. And in Brazil, it costs 120 to join, and there you get similar. You get a lot of content and access to everything that we offer basically. And yeah, so basically the way it kind of is set up is you get like video content which gives you an insight into what the content is like if you want to join any of the sessions or similarly like because there'll be guys who will sometimes join and like straight away they'll be, oh, I want to work with like, I want to get a one-to-one coach, but I don't know who I want.
Right. Right.
And I'm like, well, I don't know you that well right now, and I don't know anything about your game. So like I can't really personally tell you that unless you want to like share a lot more information with me. What you can do is you can watch the sessions. So you
Mhm.
have access. Most of the coaches you get at least one session from them. So check out the session, see whose style you like, see who you think will be like a good fit for you, and then go from there.
Right.
And then like so like similarly again, like that's what I mean. Like I always kind of feel like the product should be able to sell itself. Like I don't need to like try to force you to buy the product. Like
Right.
I believe the product's good enough that it sells itself. So like say somebody messaged me saying like I'm gonna book like 10 sessions up with a coach, like 10 one-on-ones with a coach. Who should I book them with? Generally, what I would say in that situation is why don't you try having one session with a couple of coaches, or even just with the one you have in mind first,
Hmm.
and see he's the right fit for you and he's a good guy for you to work with, and like your availability matches, and so you get everything you want from us before you commit to like paying for 10 sessions that and then you've had two or three and it's not what you wanted sort of thing, it's not what you expected. And then obviously that can be dealt with if that occurs, but it's easier if you just find the right fit to
Right.
begin with rather than making that big outlay and then whatever comes afterwards sort of thing.
And to be clear, there's people, people who will just go ahead, pay the one-time membership fee, um, be with CNC Poker, but those who want to take their game further to the next level with the one-on-one coaching, that comes at an additional cost hourly with the coach.
Yeah, exactly. So
Okay.
it ranges greatly. So like we have like two sets of coaches in globals. So we have pro coaches, which are guys who play more who they don't do live sessions, they only do one-to-ones, but
Hmm.
it's basically offering a more affordable one-to-one coaching.
Okay.
So those guys generally range in between $50 to $100. And then like we have our big name coaches, obviously like you mentioned, like Pondedy, Ben Heath, all those guys, and they are more in the higher end range, so maybe like $300 a session up to like 750 a session.
Cool.
So they're obviously targeting people who are already playing like mid to high stakes, who
Sure.
want to invest like a significant amount in their game, but obviously it's worth it for them for the stakes that they play. And
Sure.
then with the live group sessions, so they charge between 40 a session and 85 is the top end. Most of our high stakes coaches do it in like the $70 price point. And that's for like that's for a 90-minute session. Sometimes that's a funny one as well. Sometimes the sessions run over. And
Hmm.
I would have always thought, oh well, that's great because you paid for like a 90-minute session, you got 2 hours, so good deal for you. But like
Sure.
a lot of times the feedback's actually not that like they're like, oh, I want it to be like 90 minutes and I don't want it to go on stuff. I'm like, okay, we'll work at that. But yeah, it's funny how things work. But yeah, generally the high stakes guys are around the $70 mark, and you get like 9 minute session, and then there's like each session has a channel on Discord where we have the server,
Hmm.
and then you could afterwards you can ask any questions you want. They'll share anything from the session. There's like summary of the session and all that stuff, and yeah.
Sure. Well, folks, the site is CNC Poker. You know how to check it out. If people watch this interview and have any other additional questions for you, is there a way that you can be reached, a support email address, something of that nature?
Yeah, the email address would just be Raymond Norton at cncpoker.com. Discord's the best place to speak to me. I'm on there most of the time. Um, what you can do is if you can create a free membership to CNC through the site, and then you get you can join the public Discord server, and then
Oh,
I'll reach out to you there. And yeah, I'm on Discord a lot. You
brilliant.
mentioned I'm an addict, but we'll leave that one for today. But yeah.
Brilliant. Folks, that's Raymond Norton, the head, the founder of CNC Poker. Hope you've enjoyed the interview. Raymond, a pleasure speaking with you. Thanks so much for joining me.
Yeah, thanks a lot, man. Cheers. It was fun.